Well, good morning, YouTube. What we got here is this 360 Mopar, and well, that's a little lesson for you. Turns out that 360 LA motors are externally balanced, and I've got the external balance on the crankshaft. I have a neutral flex plate in there, and I have a 360 torque converter, and apparently the torque converters are balanced, but the flex plate wouldn't fit, so I modified it and hooked it up. So if all is right, I got a 25% chance that the torque converter is on the engine right. I don't know what's going to happen. I may have to pull that off, get another torque converter and a flex plate. The only way to tell is if it vibrates, and so the only way to tell if it vibrates is start it. So I'm using a HEI distributor. I've got this cap here. I've got new wires and two kinds of plugs. I'll have to make up my plug wires. That's number one, and then shouldn't be any trouble really to get some gas in it and get it to start. And I got a coil, so I'm gonna just I'm gonna make the plug wires right now, and hopefully today I'll get it started. I'll also have to hook up to my transmission cooler there. I need one fitting. These will go onto the cooler, but I need to go from the cooler to a line so I can get some fluid in it. I'll try to make this where I'm not just wasting my work. But that's the first thing I got to do, is make up these plug wires, get them in, and press on trying to start this thing. Well, I got a lot of this done. I got the plug wires all made up, and I put the coil on and tested it. I got it mounted up here on top. Just got one bolt in it right now, but the distributor looks like it's about 1/8 of an inch up, and it won't go down anymore. I turned it over and put some pressure on it with a hold down bolt. It's just not going down anymore. So I'm going to pull it out and measure it. There might be some dirt in that intermediate shaft. I don't know. But I'm going to measure this one compared to the old one. It might be 1/8 of an inch too long a shaft. We'll find out here in a minute. All these things are supposed to be 4 1/4 inches. This one's right at 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the length of the new distributor. That seems wrong, because 340, 360 should be 4 1/4 inches. And if I measure this one, I had to move it in just a little. So this one here is 3 7/8. So that's It would account for my stuff. And if I look at it here, sure enough, you see that that shaft there is longer than the old distributor, about 1/8 of an inch. Well, I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe a 360 is different, but I'm just going to trim that shaft down. I'll cut a 1/8 of an inch of it off. Polish it up, see what happens. Well, that data I just gave you was all completely wrong. The late model HEIs is 4 1/4 inches for the small ones and 4 1/2 for the 392. So this is the first distributor I ever put in a 360, but I cut 1/8 off the end of the shaft and it dropped right down in there. So I got it lined up again with my mark, and it tightens down good, and the distributor still turns smoothly. It's not in any kind of bind. So apparently this 340 distributor is 1/8 of an inch longer than that one. It's a good thing I had another distributor to measure it with. Anyway, it should be good to go now. I'm going to go ahead and finish hooking up my electrical and stuff here and bring this around to 10 degrees before top dead center, and then I can move my distributor until I get number 1 there to fire and tighten it down so it should fire right up. So I'll put it on the battery charger and press on. Well, there it is. I stuck a holly on it. It got no bolts in. It's just sitting on it. Something's wrong there. It's kind of rocking just a little. I don't know if I got a piece of gasket on it or what, but I'll fix that when I get around to it. And I got my coil in good. I soldered up my connections. I used a piece of this long red wire here, and that's my main hot wire coming off my terminal, and this is going to be long enough to go back inside to the fuse block. I just got the coil and distributor hooked up there. I turned it over, it's firing. Coil was firing really good, and I just pulled one of the cylinders. I haven't really moved it to make sure of the timing, but I had it lined up and marked where it was pointed at the plug wire at 10 degrees before. I didn't move the distributor to see if it would. I think I'll do that. I'll just pull this plug again, turn it around until I get it on compression, and I'll set it on 10 degrees, and then I'll move the distributor until it fires, and then lock it down again. And I'm just going to squirt some brake cleaner or something in there and turn it over. It should fire up. Well, that was a electronic ignition, so I couldn't really turn that distributor fast enough to get it to fire, but it's lined up, pointed just before number 1, and it's 10 degrees before top dead center. So If I got all the firing order right, I should be able to start this thing. I'll put you on the tripod and we'll see what happens. Alright, here we go. Got the famous O'Reilly brake parts cleaner. I'm just gonna give both sides of that manifold a shot. Set the carburetor back on it. And if everything's right, it should fire. Well, that's a little lesson for you. Don't start it when you're looking right at the exhaust. It fired right up. Well, that didn't run any longer, it would have cooked me. I guess I probably ought to put the exhaust manifold on it. I didn't even think about that. But it fired. So if I'd had a carburetor and everything on it, it would have worked good. So I guess you could technically say that's first start. I think I might just stick that manifold on there and try it again. I really don't want to run it very much though. I don't have any oil in that transmission yet. I need one more fitting. Well, anyway, I'd say that was a success. You know, it didn't turn over a couple times and fired. I got to get me one more fitting, put some fluid, transmission fluid in it. I've got most of it hooked up. I've got that cooler there, good, and I've got the hoses run back here. I got one of them hooked up, and I got the other one hooked to a piece of aluminum pipe there. So I need to go from that pipe to a flare fitting. I don't have anything around here. I thought I might have a gas fitting or something, but no. And I did get the dipstick all cleaned up and installed in there, and I got a good grommet on it so it shouldn't leak transmission fluid. You know, I got one flare fitting that I was going to use for a gas line. I wonder if that'll fit that transmission, because I've got enough transmission fluid to put a little in it. I had nothing that's going to work, but I'm going to try it again. I went ahead and stuck my head around here and put a couple of bolts in it, so at least I won't get fire in my face. We'll just I'll give it a little bigger shot this time. Probably run more in just a few seconds. I don't think that'll hurt it. Here we go. Starts up. I'm not making a good contact here with the starter. second. I think I'll do that. I'll get just a little bit of gas and put in it rather than just starting fluid. Well, I got just a little bit of gas here. A couple teaspoons. To make it run a little longer. This carburetor all the way. About half a teaspoon in each side. This is lawnmower gas. So, we're probably going to smoke. And again, the carburetor just sitting on there. I'll make a good start connection here this time. Don't put it on. Of course, I don't expect it to run or idle. It'll just kick over. That's all I can expect. That's good enough. If I had a carburetor on it, it would idle. Obviously, it's got vacuum leaks with not bolted down. So anyway, I think that's a success. It don't seem to be hard to start, especially considering it just all sitting there. But it did start good, and you could smell it. So anyway, guys, like and subscribe. Appreciate you watching. Appreciate you coming back, watching my trials and tribulations here. Main reason I wanted to get this thing started was to see if it was gonna vibrate, and if I have to go back in there and do something about that torque converter. But I really can't do much there. I could make that carburetor work. It was running on that 350 Chevy I have out there in that Dodge pickup, but it wasn't idling right, and you know, I gotta get gaskets and studs for it and all that crap. I'd be better off just going ahead and fixing up what I need to do here with the transmission. I gotta put that seal in there. I can't find a piece of pipe that's big enough to go around it, or a socket. Who's got a 3.5 inch socket? But motor's good, and I'll probably just, since I know that it's gonna start, and you know, pulling this transmission out if I have to, again, gonna have nothing to do with headers. So I'm gonna clean up these exhaust surfaces and put gaskets on it, put the headers on it, figure out all the bolts. I tapped them all again, so they're clean, and that way I'll have headers on both sides. I've got my oil tube cleaned up and painted. It goes in there where that thing is. And I ordered a brand new fuel pump, and I'm digging through the junk, and I got one. It probably works, but I want a new one that's going to look a lot better anyway. So basically I'll just try to do what I can here until parts come. But the question, will it run, is answered. Sure does. Starts easy anyway. We get it all sorted out, and I'll get it where it'll idle and stuff. I'll just wait for that other carburetor. The guy sent it media mail, so I don't know how long it's going to take. There's no tracking or anything on it, but I was kind of impressed with myself that I put that distributor in there and wired it all and got it right the first time. So that's a win. And of course I got to take that hood off and clean up that firewall and make a throttle bracket. I still got a lot of work, but as our friend Bob says, we're getting it. We just ain't got it yet.